Good morning, Shield Wall Nation. This is actually going to be a different daily report. This is actually going to be focused on one subject rather than multiple, and that subject is Mark and Patricia McCloskey. Now, I'm going to be showing a video of an interview that they had, and we'll kind of go over that interview as well as some little bit of safety and what each side is saying about the situation. Um, let's watch that video, and I'll get back to you.
Hey, we came back to the house. I don't know what time it is. I've been up ever since, so I'm a little blurry. Um, but we were preparing dinner. We went out the east patio, open porch that faces Kings Highway on one side and Portland Place Drive on the south. And we're sitting down for dinner. We heard all this stuff going on down in Maryland Plaza, and then the mob started to move up Kings Highway. When it got parallel with the Kings Highway gate on Portland Place, somebody forced the gate, and I stood up and announced that this is private property, go back. I can't remember in detail anymore. I went inside, I got a rifle, and because as soon as I said this is private property, those words enraged the crowd, and horde, absolute horde, came through the now smashed down gates, coming right at the house. I mean, my east patio was 40 feet from Portland Place Drive, and these people were right up in my face, scared to death. And then I stood out there. The only thing we said is, this is private property. Go back, private property, leave now. At that point, everybody got enraged. There were people wearing body armor. One person pulled out some loaded pistol magazines and clicked them together and said, "You were next." We're threatened with our lives, threatened with a house being burned down, my office building being burned down, even our dog's life being threatened. It was about as bad as it can get. I mean, and there was, I really thought it was storming the Bastille, that we would be dead and the house would be burned, and there was nothing we could do about it. It was a huge and frightening crowd, and they broke in the gate and were coming at us.
So we saw in the video him stating that there was a large group, 500 people. Well, they say that there's probably about 500 people on the entire protest march. However, maybe between 400 people actually came into the private property. So that being said, you have two people facing down anywhere between 200 and 300 people. So that alone is a pretty serious situation for those two. Let's go over a little bit of what's going on as far as the media. The media is kind of on both sides is condemning them for protecting themselves from the left side, and then on the right side they're kind of making fun of them. Now, they have a right, as they stand your ground law and the castle doctrine. Castle doctrine basically states that you have every right to protect your property as you see fit if you come under harm or your family comes under harm, and that you've been threatened or possibly your life will end or get severely injured. Stand your ground is the same thing, except for is outside of your home. So right now, that would really what would come into play would be the castle doctrine. Also, self-defense. Self-defense. What constitutes self-defense? There's a list of certain criteria that needs to be met in order for being considered self-defense. It's something like if you're disabled, you're older than the threat, or there's more threat than you as far as people. They have weapons. The list can go on. However, if you look at it, McCloskeys are 60 years old. They're 62 and 64, 61, 63, or something like that. So they're significantly older than majority of the people breaking into the private property. Also, there's numerous people, which is another ticket. They're outnumbered, and they physically cannot run. They physically cannot get away from the situation because they are not physically in shape. I'm pretty sure there's at least 10 people in that mob that can actually run them down and catch them. So they have every right as a self-defense to defend themselves, stand their ground, and the castle doctrine. So if they did happen to shoot someone on their property, I'm not a lawyer, but as far as those things, I think they should. So let's go with what the left is saying. They should not protect themselves. Well, there's this funny little article that I read, and people have read throughout years and years and years. It's called the Second Amendment. That Second Amendment states that your feelings do not matter, and you have every right to bear arms. So, there you go. So it doesn't matter what they think. They have every right to do that. Now, the right is making fun of them because they are doing improper weapon handling. However, if you can see with Mark McCloskey, he does have his finger off the trigger, but he's using an old military style of holding his rifle. However, that's not safe. You can see where it's pointing. It can be pointing into the crowd. I mean, it's not pointing in the safe direction. He should either have it the high ready, which is pointing up, or the low ready, pointing at the ground, hopefully into dirt. However, that'd be the best safe direction guarding his home. He can't have his back facing his house. He can't be facing his house with his back to the crowd and shouting over his shoulder so it can be pointed at a safe direction. No, the safe direction now is to the ground, and he has his eyes on the threat. Now, if you look at Patricia McCloskey, she is, above all, the most unsafe weapon handling. You can see that her finger is on the trigger, and she is pointing at an unsafe direction. She is pointing at the crowd. He's not pointing at the crowd, but he's aiming at the crowd. He's holding it, and the way he's holding it is aiming at the crowd. She is pointing at the crowd in videos and other pictures that you may see. So what she's doing is extremely unsafe. However, if she did fire accidentally, I don't know. She's defending it so that she can lean on the stand your ground and castle doctrine. But then again, wasn't necessary. And since it is accidental and you hurt someone or killed someone, what could happen to her? However, this whole situation is definitely a good learning tool to learn proper trigger discipline, pointing in a safe direction, and a little bit of your own local laws as well, of what you can do to protect your home, as well as what is considered self-defense and what you can check off in those boxes as far as self-defense, which they were protecting themselves because they were older than most of their threat. They were less physically capable to escape than what their threat was. And also they were severely outnumbered by their threat. So, with those, they had every right to defend themselves and escalate the situation by force. And unfortunately, as you saw in the video, they were threatened. There's other videos I've heard, you can faintly hear yelling in the background of, you're going to die, we're going to take your house, we're going to do this to you and your family, and which really shows this isn't a peaceful protest. I mean, if it's a peaceful protest, you'd be stating your purpose, yelling your purpose, chanting your purpose while you're out there, which would be peaceful, Black Lives Matter, or persecute bad cops, or whatever the purpose is you're out there. That would be a peaceful protest. However, a peaceful protest doesn't go around stating, I'm going to take your life, I'm going to burn your house down, your business down, I'm going to murder your family and live in your house with your dead corpses in there. No, that's not a peaceful protest. That's a mob. That's a revolution. And it's sickening. It's sickening. I 100% support freedom of speech and the right to assembly and protest. I do. As well as I do support the second Constitution, because without the second Constitution, then we have no rights. We can't protect ourselves against the government. That's why the government is so so adamant on getting rid of the Second Amendment, so then they have free reign to take our weapons away, and then they can do whatever they want to us as they please. That's all they ultimately want is power. Now look at Venezuela, the most modern situation like that, where they disarmed their citizens and now they're impoverished. They went from a very wealthy country to one of the poorest. It's a lot of people don't get that. They're not seeing that. They don't want to see that. They think that their Marxist ideas, their socialist ideas, their communist ideas are end all be all, and that would make everything better. But no, they won't. It won't. One of the most successful countries in the world are democratic countries, run based off of a capitalist economic system. I mean, it's not perfect, but it can be fixed and made much better than what it is. But going down that road where the left thinks, I'm going to digress a little bit, but the left thinks it's okay to riot, protest, burn down your city, kill people within your community, take over 6 blocks, and then consider it peaceful and a love of summer. A love of summer. I don't think so. I don't think it's a love of summer. Then with all these hostile, violent actions, you're going to go and talk about Mark and Patricia stating that what they did was wrong? Why don't you condemn the people that you fund for doing the things they did before you start pointing fingers at anyone else saying they did wrong? And that's a whole nother subject I'm going to be talking about. It's the left, far left, and far right. I'm going to dive. I mentioned it before in another video. I'm going to dive much deeper in that, and how back-ass words the entire government system is. However, I'll not touch on that today. I hope that we learned a little bit. I will be making a video on firearm safety, so when you do happen to go to the range, you're safe. This is something that I do teach my kids, and they, even to this day with their toy guns, they still practice the techniques I taught them, which is fantastic. Years later, I still do. So without further ado, I will end this video. I do appreciate you guys being part of this, and I will be, like I said, I will be making more videos in the future starting next week. This weekend I will be filming some. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this, learned a little bit, and just to kind of get that little taste on the tip of your tongue, and I will be definitely feeding you guys more information. So I hope you had a great day. I hope you do have a great day. And Shield Wall Nation, catch you next time.